It's a very windy day and I was gonna go out in plein air, but I've decided to just sketch from the car and to work on something that's kind of tricky for me, which is sketching cars and putting cars in a landscape. So I did a little thumbnail here and I've sketched out here on, this is a Strathmore toned sketchbook hardback. And I'm using this sketching setup that I have created. So I've got my palette here, I'm gonna add some water here, and the sketchbook's all attached to this. So I've put a little water in this cup, and I've got for colors essentially the Zorn palette, yellow ochre, cadmium red, ivory black, white. Let's just use the Zorn palette today. So we'll use these three colors and see where that gets us. I'm also going to be using this large round brush by Princeton. It's a number 10 long run velvet touch to try and do the whole. I want to mix up a color for the sky, which is kind of a drab gray, adding black to the mix, but I think this is too dark, so we'll go back into some white and try something like that. So one thing that's interesting about the Zorn palette is that the black itself functions as your blue. I think that will work. So next, I want to put in basically this area of trees in here, and that's a much darker gray. So we can probably go back to our mix here and add a little bit more black into that. And it's a little bit brown, so I might use some red in there as well. I don't want to go too dark. But one of the beauties of using the Zorn palette is that you don't have such a wide range of colors, and so you get to focus on tonal values as well as color temperature, which I really like. And I can just paint over a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna darken a little bit as it goes down towards the horizon and blend it while it's still wet. So I'm mixing in a little bit more black and a little bit more red just to make this a little bit more tonally punch. And I'm gonna bring this tree here. I like using these round brushes because you can really get a fine tip, but you can also cover a wide variety of area with it. So that's really nice. I like that. And it cuts across the sky like so. That's too dark. And really trying to get these like sharp shapes. I'm adding just a little bit more black to that mix, and I'm going to start by just making the car a square and trying to get like the total outline of this car. And then I might paint some details into it. There's not much of a shadow underneath the car. Okay, just to place that. And I'll add a little bit more black, come in with some of these trees. Again, adding some red, and maybe just kind of making there be a wash here. Blending that together. And just getting something that's like neutral but has some color to it. Let's see. It's almost almost the same, a little bit darker than the page. Let me go a little bit lighter. Trying to follow the perspective with my paint strokes. And I like that. It gets a little bit darker down the way, so I add a little bit of black into my mix. While this is still wet, kind of blend it in a little bit. Just add texture and like sort of some shadows, very faint shadows that are cast over the road, and make like a little undulation of different, and adds texture to the road like that. This bit here is a little bit warmer, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this mix to get this line here. So let's mix some greens for the grass, a little bit of yellow ochre and ivory black. And look at that beautiful green. But I'm going to drop it in. There's some bushes here. And actually, I think I want to lighten that up now with some white. Using the side of the brush to put in big chunks of this, right? And just covering a lot of territory relatively quickly. That's really what's nice about that. So we kind of have this plane. And then because this is a hill that goes up, that plane is getting more light, so I'm going to add more white. Just carry this down. Some houses in here. It's gonna mix up sort of a brick color with red and black. Good. Let's try kind of just, again, approximating something with straight lines. I need to lighten that up. I'm just being really loose and suggestive here. Okay, so I've mixed up a couple pools of different tones that I want to go into the car. So kind of a mid-gray, a slightly higher highlight, and then the highest highlight that I'm going to use. And that's just I'm going to carve that out from this generic shape that I have now. So let's go in and take basically like the next darkest area. And I'm gonna leave like what I have down now as like my darkest darks. I'm gonna bring up this area here. And like something for like the windshield. Okay. And let's raise the value of that a little bit. Make sure I don't have too much water in here. And then the highest highlight. Fairly thick paint. And use that for this side. Added just a little bit of red to the mixture of gray. I'll get a little bit more of that red. Just put it over here. Mixing up mostly black and a little bit of yellow ochre and some white to make a very strong kind of dark green for these light poles that are very iconic for this neighborhood. And there's another one in the foreground that will drop in right here. Some white and yellow ochre. I'm going to darken it down, some more yellow ochre for down the way. I'm going to blend into this with just a little bit of gray, just to give it some three-dimensionality. Try to get my brush into a tip like this. I can get something that's a little bit more controlled. So I splayed the brushes. I'm going to dip into this gray that I mixed, and similarly I'm going to kind of dry brush on some texture here. Create a little bit more atmosphere by scrubbing in. One thing I've noticed is that wherever you have a grass line, there's often a dark line right in this area here, wherever the edge of the grass is. So I've mixed up a dark green with my ivory black, yellow ochre. Just dropping this in. Same thing here. I want the focus point to be the car, but I do think I want to drop in just a few more darks. I'm going to use the same dark that I used for the lamppost, just to put in some darks in these trees. Just a little bit of darkness. You have a voice that matters. Go be creative. I'll see you next time.